Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be on picking 5 titles from the Indicator range. I'm not saying they're the best 5, but I'm going to pick 5 that I really enjoyed and that I would recommend to other people. So where else best to start than at number 1. This is Christine. Christine is a horror film from John Carpenter, and I grew up, I was very young in the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s. And when I was in the 90s, I watched horror films, classic horror films, and they were generally from the 70s. So you're thinking Exorcist, Omen, that kind of stuff. They were quite scary for somebody of my age. And then towards the late 90s, 2000s, you got into this kind of torture, you know, very, very gory horror. So I had written horror off as a genre that I just didn't like. I just didn't appreciate it. I quite liked The Omen and The Exorcist, and even something like The Changeling that I'd seen as good, but a bit uncomfortable to watch. Not really of that mindset where I wanted to be engaged in being afraid all the time. So it was when I came to watch Christine that I kind of found something a bit odd, because it's a horror film, but it's very much more in the fun way of horror that seemed to be prevalent a lot actually through that 80s, that period that was kind of in between the two bits that I'd seen. And it's a really fun film that tells the story of a young man who's kind of a bit of a loser, Arnie, acted by Keith Gordon, and he sees this car. It's a red Plymouth from the 1950s. He really likes it, and he kind of feels a calling him, and I think he thinks it can give him a bit of cred as he gets in. Even though it's an old car and people want newer cars, there's something classic about this car. And when he gets the car and starts spending time in the car, it appears that the car is not all that it appears to be. It's a demon car of some sorts. It's got a personality, and it starts to get very jealous of sharing Arnie with other people. So even though it starts to change in some ways Arnie's perception as he becomes more involved, probably a metaphor for how men change when they meet up with certain new friends or new girlfriends or otherwise. But he starts to dress differently, he starts to act differently, he starts to act cooler. He's not the geek that he was beforehand, and his circle of friends are trying to pull him back in, but he's changed and the car's changing. So that's the general premise of the story, and it's a very enjoyable watch. There's some great practical effects as you would expect from a John Carpenter film. So that is Christine, and a great movie, great fun movie, and definitely one you should check out. The next film is Spine number 70, and it is The Collector. And The Collector is a William Wyler film. William Wyler, who directed Ben-Hur, then did The Children's Art, and I think The Collector was next. And it turns out that he turned down Sound and Music to do this film, which is a little thing in its own right. What's also interesting about, for supposedly Indicator and Powerhouse being these kind of forgotten gems, or these things that you never would have found, this was a very successful movie in many ways. And the Cannes Film Festival, Samantha Eggar and Terence Stamp both won Best Actor and Actress for this portrayal, and it was nominated for multiple awards at the time. And it tells the story of Terence Stamp, who follows this young nurse, who's Samantha Eggar's character, around before eventually abducting her. And he abducts her and he brings her to his residence, which is a house in the country, and locks her in the cellar. Now he feeds her, he looks after her, but he keeps her in captivity. And the film generally follows about their relationship as he starts to relax the rules, as he feels she's more normal part of his life. And does she want to stay? Does she want to escape? What are the avenues of escape? It's that typical film in that genre, and it's a really nice character piece. There aren't very many characters in it, so it's a film that I think's well worth watching. It's multi-award winning performances. And even though it doesn't have these magnificent set pieces of, say, a Ben-Hur, it is a very interesting story told of a couple of characters and their relationship and how it evolves, and who you really sympathise with. Next film is Spine number 118, and it's a different type of film. Again, this is an adapted screenplay from David Mamet called Oleanna, starring William H. Macy. As a professor who is been working in the university, the college for a number of time, and he's coming near the point where he's getting tenure, where his salary's going to go up, his life's going to change, and he is taking a class, and he gets a student who comes to him at the end of the day and asks for help. Asks for help with their work. She's not really getting it. She doesn't get some of the core principles, some of which are his own writing. So he offers to help her and give her an A if she comes to these extra classes to catch up. And there begins the issues for William H. Macy's character, as the student starts to call him out for sexual harassment. She makes a formal complaint against him. And the film is very much a study in gender imbalances. Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong here? Who do you sympathise with? Who do you not? Are they both guilty? Are they both innocent? You can see how it was a play on the stage, because there's very little change about it. There's very few locations. It's very much two characters talking back and forward all the time, and that just evolves and evolves through the course of the film. I know a lot of people have subsequently said that the stage play was better than the film. That may be, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that this film was a very good watch for me. I never got to see the stage play, as it goes. Next one is number 106. And this is Costa Gravas Missing. Costa Gravas being another well-known director. And this one stars, as you may be able to see from the cover, Jack Lemmon and Sissy Spacek. John Shea is where it starts. John Shea, who, as far as I remember, was Lex Luthor in The New Adventures of Superman, if you're of a certain genre of vintage. He's a reporter, and he is investigating a coup in... It's never named specifically as Chile, but some of the Chilean cities are named, if that makes sense. And it's told, or it's adapted from a real-life true story of the Chilean coup at that time. And he goes missing. And it's seen as one of those things. He'll appear sometime in the future. He's went deep cover, or otherwise he's a journalist. But his father's not convinced. His father's a wealthy businessman. He comes to help look for his son, and Sissy Spacek is the partner who helps, and they go along. And it's a really interesting political thriller of some sorts. I hasten to use the word thriller because it's not exactly thrilling the whole way through. There's a kind of resolution that plays out that's kind of normal, not that heightened one that you would expect maybe from the early 90s, that kind of thriller. But again, a really great film to watch. I thought Jack Lemmon in a serious role was magnificent in it. It was a really great piece of casting. Some of the extras that are on the disc attend to that, how much Costa Gravas wanted Jack Lemmon to do it, because it gave the character a very likeable and sympathetic voice. You would automatically side with Jack Lemmon's character. He was like your granddad in many ways. So incredibly interesting film, and one that I heartily recommend. The last film that I'm going to recommend is Spine number 152, and it is Who, with Elliot Gould and Trevor Hard. Trevor Hard is a ex-spy, well, not an ex-spy, he's currently a spy, and he gets handed back from the enemy, back to America, back from the Russians, and that would not necessarily be a problem, but he's covered in metal. He's not come back the same person that he went away as, and as such, they're not quite sure if he's who he says he is. And it's Elliot Gould's job to try and ascertain whether he is or he isn't who he said he is, or whether he's compromised. It's a very much a push and pull, again, political kind of thriller, where people have asked, or are asked, is he who he says he is? Do you believe him? Is there enough evidence for you as the viewer to be able to make up your own mind? And it's a fairly simple premise, and it's one that twists and turns throughout, but one that you get some resolution to at the end. And again, a good watch. I mean, the metallic body I don't think works quite well for modern viewing, but it is what it is, and it's part of the period of the piece. So that's 5 films that I've recommended for you. If you check in on them out and watch them and find that you like them or dislike them, please let me know. If you have any other ones that you would like to recommend, please do, and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.